Hey, everybody, welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. We have a really fun show planned for you. I hope it's fun, actually. We have James Wanless, who's the creator of many tarot cards, including the Voyager call, the Sustain Yourself cards. What other cards have you done? Tell me the other ones. There's one other, right?
Thanks, CJ. I have the Rooster deck, 44 cards of the exceptional Rooster, because it's the year of the Rooster.
Ooh, fun. Oh, I didn't realize that you had a new deck of cards. That's so exciting. So, James Wanless has created the ever so famous Wanless Tarot. I mean, the Voyager Tarot, and it sounds like he has the Rooster Tarot. What's a Rooster Tarot? I know
Well,
it's
it's
for this year of the Rooster, but what's it all about?
it's not tarot, so it's not 78 cards like, regular tarot, 44 cards, but it's really about bringing the Rooster qualities into your life, which is especially good for people who are a little bit introverted, who need to kind of market themselves, get out in the world, be more expressive, believe in themselves, have more confidence.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, having made these cards and then having written a mythic story around this evolving exceptional rooster has really, I got to tell you, CJ's had a major impact on my psyche, actually. I'm
Wow.
more roosterish.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how does that manifested over that? So we're halfway through the year. How have you evolved over the year as because you developed these cards, I assume, before the year, or when did you develop these cards and what happened during your personal evolution?
Well, I started, they're photographs of me as a rooster, and they were photographed of me around the wall art of Los Angeles here, and even in the Florida Everglades
Hmm.
after that,
Oh,
uh,
fun.
Rooster the Rooster. So, to play a role, you have to become the role.
Mm.
I'm just a little bit more brazen. I'm not going to say outlandish, but I just don't care so much anymore what people think. Or, am I a nice guy or a good guy and all that kind of stuff? I just want to be more of me and how I really think and feel and let it out.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused because aren't you the guy who wears like purple wigs and walks through the forest in green as a green man? So you weren't expressing yourself before, and now you
No,
are. What does that
no,
even mean?
I hold back a lot.
You
I hold back.
do?
Oh, if I start really talking about how I feel about everything
Yeah.
on Facebook and whatever, all of a sudden I get all sorts of clients who don't like my personal views. They may love my
Oh.
work, like Voyager, but the minute I'm more me, I get a drop off. Now,
Mm.
I don't, at this point, because of the rooster in me, I don't care.
Mm. Right. I think I'm getting the crow version of that. So we have a couple questions. So they want to know, folks want to know where we can get the cards and your name, James Wanless, who's here. So
What?
where can you get these rooster cards?
Right. It's interesting. I was just on. I have a Japanese Facebook, and the Japanese guy spelled my name Wanless, Wanless, into oneness, one J,
Oh,
which I thought was pretty cool.
yeah.
Uh, but that's it's. This is an online deck, CJ. Rooster
Oh,
is not in cards. I'm kind of over the print thing and how
yeah.
much it costs and the market. It's just like slow and old. Online is immediate. You can get them on James with a hyphen wanless.com on my website.
Wanless, just for,
Right.
because, yeah,
And they're
wanless.com.
five or $6, and you
Hmm.
get them emailed every day with the story about. So it's about you becoming more of the rooster in you, and we are all related to all the plant world and all the
Mm.
creature world. So let's be all of who we are meant to be. Why not?
Mm. And how does it feel now that you are just letting loose, like not worrying whether they won't like me, it's not good for business if I'm too myself and you don't express yourself. How does it feel?
Well, it feels good. I got to tell you one personal thing. It's because of some prostate issues. So they put me on these testosterone blockers,
Oh no.
which means wow, I'm feeling so much more now, you know. And I even wrote a nice article on my website called "Am I Becoming a Woman?" This is not something I usually like to talk about, prostate
Hmm.
and testosterone, and am I becoming, because I'm having hot flashes. Maybe I'm a menopausal,
Wow. We're
but
in the same place, James. You and I are in the same place. I'm having hot flushes.
DJ, you're hot and I'm hot,
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly. We're both hot.
so hot right now. I got to take off this hat. It's making me hot.
Well, that's so fascinating. So different aspects of your persona are coming out as well as your
Yeah.
hormones are shifting because of the wow.
And so I'm dressed like this today. I'm looking kind of sort of professional because I am.
Right.
But this is my political science PhD professor, me, Dr. James Wanless, coming out to talk about America and our
Yeah.
situation socially and politically and economically.
Yeah, and I think for folks who are not familiar, I've had James on the show for probably I don't know 6 or 7 times. You're one of my all-time favorites, and James was a professor of politics at where at several at a university in you were teaching Middle East politics, something like that, right?
Well, yeah, yeah,
At NYU or Columbia or something pretty official.
I got my PhD at Columbia, and
Okay.
then went and taught at the American University in Cairo in Egypt,
Oh,
and then at an Armenian university in Beirut in Lebanon.
wow.
So my teaching career spanned the Middle East, and after a couple years of that, I quit.
Hmm.
I said, I'm out of there. I did not like the, the box of academia and having to deal with the chairman of the department chairman and faculty meetings and all that kind of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
much independent and a free spirit than that.
Yeah, that talk about that. That's like the anti rooster. I think being in the world of academia, it's probably the anti rooster
No.
scenario.
Roosters, yeah. I mean, to be an academic, you have to do a lot of writing, but you can't. It's not good to be too outlandish because
Yeah.
then the other faculty members get very jealous. They're humans, and they don't like you and they begin to ostracize you. And I felt that.
Mm.
Um, I was actually voted the most popular professor in my at this Armenian university,
Wow.
uh, and uh, but I wanted to go to India on my spiritual pilgrimage or vision quest, if you will. And because I was the most popular professor, I went into the president's office and said, "Double my salary, Dr.
Hmm.
Markarian, or I'm leaving."
Right.
So, rightly so, he said no. And so I was off to India, which is a win-win for me. Either I'm going to
Yeah.
stay at Ghazian, can make more money, or I'm going to India. Either way, I was
Right.
win.
Wow. Interesting. I didn't know that you did a spiritual journey in India. What was your journey all about in India?
Well, I wanted to go there and get into meditation, but before that, I went up to Nepal to do some trekking in the snow mountains. But unfortunately, or fortunately, actually, I got hepatitis and I
Wow.
got put down. I was all yellow. I couldn't even get out of bed. And then
Wow.
fortunately, there was a meditation course going on for Westerners outside Kathmandu in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery. So I went and sat
Wow.
and laid down there for a month, totally
Wow.
healed my hepatitis with no medication. Walked
Wow.
there, and I walked out of my whole career as a political science professor. That was done.
That was your first rooster moment. Okay, so at that time when you said I'm done, what was the reason why that you thought I'm done? Like you're lying on the floor with hepatitis for a month at this Tibetan Buddhist place. What what gave you the insight to say, "Nope, I'm done."
Well, I mean, I just realized what was more important to me, whether right or wrong, it doesn't make any difference. It was just what I personally, in my gut and my heart, felt
Hmm.
was my right path and my because I have a PhD, which
Right.
is powerful head damage, of course, but that's a very high peak of academia, and you're supposed to be very, very intelligent, and at Columbia, Ivy League school, and all that. And I thought, God, is this it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's it was not fulfilling to me. I mean, I had done it, been there, so what? There's got to be more in life, and I'm a
Mm.
seeker. And so I hit the trail to become ultimately a seer.
Mm. So how did you get exposed to tarot through that path?
Well, right. Now I'm really getting hot now. I'm hot flashes. I'm going to have to take off my business coat
No, you're
here.
gonna go, oh honey, I'm getting hot. If you're really gonna get female, you have to wave your hands and like, woo, it's hot in here. Embrace it.
I was at because I'm a very much of a, when I teach, I'm very um, demonstrative. Let's put it, I'm trying to find the right word, but I remember once it was the card we were talking about in the tarot was the death card, which is about releasing and letting go. So I went into the class with a suit and a tie, and as I started to do the lecture, I started shedding these
Mm.
clothes.
You did your strip naked naked
I didn't,
dance.
no. I didn't get down to my underwear, but close, but close.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Interesting.
so I'm on this vision quest for 4 years out of America, looking for truth, looking for me. And eventually, when I came back to the U.S., I had to find a job. I had to pay the rent. I had no money and nothing going on. And so I started teaching at these meditation or Eastern
Mm.
philosophy courses and classes in San Francisco.
Mm.
And one day I met my a faculty colleague who was doing the cards, the tarot, had a reading with her. Angeles Arian became my teacher, and I loved it. And I never looked back after that.
Wow. And what made you decide to do a deck?
Oh, I do. Don't get me too started on this. I love the tarot process of picking face down cards because it breaks us free
Mm.
of our own ossified, stagnant self definitions and self image of who we think we are. And we have
Mm.
to move on. We have to grow. We have to evolve. We have to change. So picking cards face down busts us free of
Mm.
thinking, well, I'm the emperor when I get the fool. Oh my gosh, kind of thing.
Right.
Um, but I did not like or appreciate the language, the symbolic language of the classic tarot decks, which are old. They're
Hmm.
medieval. They're only white people. It's European. It's medieval. Swords, blood, kings and queens. I said, tarot is a roadmap. It's a life map for life mastery. And it's hard to get any place when you're using an old map. I mean, we know our roads today. If you decide to go a certain route that was operative 50 years ago, you're not going to get there. And
Right.
that's what I feel a lot about these classic tarot decks is they're wonderful and they're obsolete. So I
Mm.
said to myself, I'm a Voyager. I've traveled the world. I grew up in Brazil. I've lived everywhere. I've traveled everywhere, lived everywhere, basically. I love the multicultural,
Mm.
multi-ethnic approach to the tarot. So I just broke free of all the medieval European stuff.
Mm. Wow, very cool. Okay, so the rooster cards, which are now your next generation of cards, are online. So you've kind of evolved again, and it's about really leaning into the rooster and figuring out how what happens when you lean into that. So it sounds like parts of you that have been cultivated is kind of expressing your free voice. What else has been cultivated from
Yeah,
that process?
you did mention another deck of mine, the Sustain Yourself cards, which is
Mm-hmm.
all nature. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about being living green,
Mm-hmm.
green self, which is the green man archetype, the
Mm-hmm.
spring god of an ever renewing life. And that's what I believe in. Hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
74 and I'm not retiring, I'm refiring. I'm not going to croak. I got attitude. I want to live a long time and live a wealthy, healthy, great life for a while. So it's all about being able to renew, sustain yourself, and nature knows how. Nature
Mm.
Earth for 2.5 billion years has learned how to sustain and evolve. So nature is my mentor and my teacher. And so I created a deck and all sorts of books around
Um,
a green wisdom collection of mine. I think I probably have 5 or 6 different works
yeah.
that around that. The
Yeah, so
power.
it's almost shamanic and feel, and that because shamanism also thinks about our animals as having archetypes, and those archetypes having a deep lesson for us because they're part of nature, they're part of an aspect of ourselves. And so it sounds like that's maybe the evolution is now going into the animal of that year.
Right. The problem, I mean, again, back to there are a lot of kind of nature decks, animal decks out there, but they're all cute. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all like, oh, here's a nice fuzzy bear. Nah, 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 nah. You know, kind of like, oh, come on, get over it. Let's look at nature as it really is. So,
Mm,
when you sustain yourself cards, I mean, I've got 5 suits from the elements to the minerals to the
mm,
creatures to the plant world and to the early human world. But like my hero actually in the green deck is bacteria. I
mm.
mean, like, oh my God, bacteria! Oh no! And I'm saying, dude, you are mostly bacteria, so get over it. Right? I mean, there's always a bad guy, but it's because of bacteria we are here. We've evolved. We are alive today because bacteria learned how to adapt to oxygen, which
Mm,
way back when billions of years ago was toxic.
mm-hmm,
Nothing organic could live on Earth because oxygen was a poisonous gas.
mm,
Who figured it out? Bacteria. And,
mm,
and it goes on from there. So, I mean, it's all about being able to be changeable, adaptable, renewable, flexable, and nature knows how to do that.
mm. Interesting. Okay, so let's actually talk a little bit about putting these cards to practice and your professorial view on stuff. So, and just for folks out there, we have done several different tarot cards. We did them before the presidential election. So we did one with Hillary versus Trump,
Right.
and we found out that. And you looked at the master cards of each of those candidates, and Trump was the emperor, right?
The Emperor and the Fool.
The emperor. Well, okay. And then we had asked in the beginning of the year, what can we expect with the Trump administration? And I actually think this was before he was even in office. I think we did.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, what if he becomes president? I think we pick cards on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's out. And what I still come to this day, it's been, 6 months. And I really think that those cards are accurate. Do you remember what they said? They basically said that there was going to be a ton of change. He was going to be like the destroyer, kind of tons of change.
Well, the most graphic thing I do remember from that reading was we asked at some point, how would he be presidential?
Right.
Presidential, and the least presidential card in the deck probably came up, and it's the child card, Child of Cups, which is all feelings, throws tantrums, cries about this, whines about that, blames on this, na 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 na. Totally no emotional intelligence. It's a spontaneous quality in a human being, and we kind of like that, and that's why he tweets at 3 in the morning or whatever. That is the Child of Cups, the feeler to the T. I mean, it's the best example of that card I've ever
That
seen.
is perfect. I forgot that we actually pulled that card. For me, what was the my takeaway was there's going to be upheaval and chaos, and even though it feels like a lot of stuff is happening, it's not really going to happen. A lot of stuff really
That's
won't change.
the Hangman came up, which is certain things just don't happen, in spite of the big talk stuff. Anybody can talk. But yeah, so, and also I think we saw the alchemy of the situation, meaning the third law of motion is, and this is a true physics, it's true of life. I'm really a believer in this. The third law of thermodynamics of motion by Newton is, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, as much as he goes off doing whatever he wants to do, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. So, I think America's gotten pretty fat and complacent about their political system, and hence we're really losing out in the quality of life race, if you want to call it that, because we've kind of lost our mojo, not for the reasons probably that our president's talking about, but it's because now a lot of people are being threatened by his program. They are getting stronger and tougher and more committed, and therefore they're in this opposite equal reaction
Mm,
called Democratic Party is potentially going to get stronger, and the progressive liberal movement will most likely get stronger as well. And that's alchemy, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the American political system. I don't know if foreign countries can understand us at all, and I don't know why they should. Because,
I don't
this
think we even understand ourselves. I feel like what has happened is that we've gone through such a great. I mean, and I think that the reality is that we shouldn't forget that things were broken before Trump came here.
oh,
Right?
clearly.
Things were fundamentally messed up before Trump even arrived. So you can't blame him for everything, one. And secondly, all he's doing, I think, is changing things up. I mean, they may not be what we like, but he's actually changing things up. And sometimes you have to face if either the changes that either you're feeling like aversely felt by the changes, or you are in support of them. But if you're aversely felt by them, then I think what it does is it gives us an opportunity of what we truly believe in. And so I think that that's the shining
Yep.
star that we may not even realize is happening as a result of Trump destroying a lot of the stuff that we may have held dear before. I don't know. That's my positive spin on it.
Yeah, I think we take a lot for granted. We
Yeah.
take a lot for granted over the years, and now he's come. It's interesting, CJ. My dissertation, my doctorate was about the mafia,
Wow.
the Cosa Nostra, and it was all about how the families in these in the mafia system make war and make peace with each other.
Mm.
Um, but it's all based on personal fidelity, and it's what we kind of call clan politics.
Hmm.
It's all about family, la familia here. And when I saw that cabinet meeting a couple of weeks ago or 10 days ago, of all the members of Trump's cabinet going around and said, "Oh, I really appreciate working for you."
Yes.
Could be Capo Trump, he could
Yeah.
be the leader. This is straight out of, because I read 3,000 pages of transcripts of how mafia bosses and families talk to each other.
Wow. That's fascinating.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so similar. But, and that's why, because he ran a family business. His was a real estate business, and it was family. It's all family. So here we are in a tremendous, huge, complex, diversified governmental system. Clan politics do not work
Right.
at all. And it's impossible there. So I thought there was some of these institutions are going to be refortified here, which we've taken for granted before. I mean, like Obama's a very cool guy. I mean, so cool that you kind of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, we're
Really?
cooler as a result of him being president. Like it's like he confers hipness to everyone just by being president.
Very reflective. But again, back to the action reaction thesis, which is true. And, Obama's his campaign manager and the chief of staff. He's really he's out there on his podcast. Anyway, he said every election after a certain president is going to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
And so we had Obama being an incredibly reflective person. I mean, I don't know how. I wonder if he's got ice in his veins or something like that. I'd get boiled up about stuff, but he didn't.
Right.
Never really. So now we have the total opposite of Obama. We got a flamer. I mean, this guy goes off about whatever. The child of cups, the feeler. The total opposite. So I'm just hoping at some point, maybe the next election, maybe action reaction, we go back to something in the middle.
Okay,
maybe.
so let's do a set of cards about, because I wonder whether I have this hypothesis that this is actually going to make our democracy stronger by highlighting all the fissures and cracks in our foundation. So maybe is there what do we need to know about how either the ups and downs of what's happening and how it's going to fortify or weaken our democracy? What's the right question? Something like that. What would you say?
Yeah, that's a good question, but let me just say this, that I would think that as well, but I've just been doing some research on America again as a political scientist, and I'm really a big fan of the Social Progress Index, the SPI, which is incredible. It really talks about the quality of life throughout the world and compares countries. And America, in terms of fragmentation, in terms of tolerance and discrimination. For discrimination, America is 39th in the world. For religious discrimination, religious tolerance is 92nd in the world. So here we think with this
So there are
open,
91 more countries that are more religiously tolerant than us, or more
yes,
tolerant than us.
yes, yes, and 38 countries more racially tolerant than we are. So we are a most fragmented, divisive country, and I don't know what it takes to to pull out of that. So with that kind of where politicals can't walk across the aisle, can't do anything together, I don't know. It's gridlock. It's gridlock.
Yeah. So I wonder if, in fact, it's
What was the question here?
well. Okay. So what? Well, okay. Let's ask if the current momentum that's happening and what Trump represents. What are the positive aspects of what he's doing?
Right. So you have your opinions and I have my
Yeah.
opinions. And this is what's great about the cards. It's Voyager Tarot, right?
Hmm.
Voyager Tarot, okay. 78 cards, and I'm going to pick them face down. So this, again, makes us more honest. It breaks us free of what I would ordinarily say or
Right.
think and do. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So the question is, what's the question again? Sorry.
What are positive things that Trump is doing for our government and our people that are hidden?
Okay, so I want you to tell me when to stop here as I shuffle these. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now, please.
Okay, I got this card, and it is the star.
Huh. Hmm.
The star is in Voyager, actually in old classic tarot, it's a beautiful blonde. And she's dipping some water in a pool, and she's half naked, and she's great. That's the star. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I like it, but come on. So this is Kuan Yin in Voyager, a much
Mm.
higher evolved
Mm.
of a person who bears the light, is the light, and radiates out to the world, with great servitude, if you will. This is Kuan
Mm.
Yin, goddess of all of Asia here. So the great thing is, this is an awakening.
Mm.
This Trump administration is an awakening. It's like the light, like, whoa, we woke up. We don't wake up, we woke up. Now,
Right.
that's the language we're going to use here. So it's a great wake up call.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, hopefully, but this is a card of all about compassion. This is all about the quality of life, the well being of life. This is not about military power at all.
Mm. Mm.
So while we go off on this military tangent, probably getting wars maybe and whatever, we're real close to war with Russia now over Syria. That's not what this card's about. So this is
Yeah.
probably that. But the only thing is the downside of the star card. It can be misrepresented in person as I am the star.
Mm.
I am the boss. I am the leader. And very distant from the people. This
Mm.
heart is like a sun. It's not hugging anybody or anything. It is distant. I am
Mm.
a star, and this is my light. And so it's not a great card for interactivity, for discussion,
Mm. Mm.
resolution across the
Well,
aisles.
that makes sense, for the healthcare. And I mean, actually, let's put the most positive spin on this. So, healthcare took 9 months or so to actually come up with the current Affordable Health Care Act, which has got all sorts of problems with it, apparently. And so now 13 men are locked up and creating a health care bill that they will vote on with
It's,
no
it's 13,
participation.
it's 13 old white guys.
13 old white men. So, but like
OWG.
let's look at the positive. Okay, so I think there's so many negatives that I could just spew off as liberal and progressive, but at
Why am
some
I not there?
that what?
I'm an OWG. Why am I not?
Why aren't you there? Okay, but I can kind of see, having been in China, where there's a communist government, a ruling party of a bunch of old, Chinese dudes that do the same thing. They're able to do things like put in a subway stop in 6 months, right?
Right.
Our subway around the corner went through all sorts of public process, conversation, democracy ruled, and it's now 2020. That
Yeah.
was about 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and it still hasn't been built. And there were so many meetings talking about it. So, in literally probably 15 years, China has done something in 6 months, which would take us 15 years to do because all the voices have to be heard. And so, for the very best possible view of this 13 old white men scenarios, maybe we've gotten all the diverse voices have made it almost inoperable. Like we cannot work. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the best possible way of looking at this.
In the social SPI, Social Progress Indicate, America, in terms of nutrition and medical care, is 36th in the world.
Yeah.
36th.
And probably number one in what we spend.
Yeah. But democracy is by far the worst political system, except for all the others.
Right. Exactly. That famous statement. Who wrote that? I can't remember.
Right. But you're right, but I think because I travel a lot, and people look at America now and think we are a joke.
Yeah.
We are a joke. No respect at all, except that we have a few nice cars and some nice buildings and nice washing machine or whatever.
Wow.
The rest is like, these guys are idiots.
Okay.
The standing of America
That
is really
sounds pretty bad.
However, America, except for the expense of it, America is number one in the world for education.
That's amazing, given how poor the results are.
Well, it shows you how poor most education is. I mean, if you're in China and you have some money, you're sending your kid to America.
Yeah, that's true. That's
because
true.
the American political system, for all of its faults, still has something going on for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's actually ask. So we have one card that talks about Trump and the positive aspect of what he's creating. And in some ways, when you read that card of Kuan Yin, I almost think like the law of thermodynamics. It's the opposite of it's like the opposite opposing energy that may come up.
Everything in life has a shadow and a light side to it. So, I mean, like in every card has an upside and a downside. The downside of the star is ego up the yin yang, and very distant and removed and separate from all the other people, because this is a person who thinks he or she is above everybody else. That's the shadow part of this card. But okay, let's move on.
So let's talk about. We were just talking about our world standing and how other countries view us. And if you're listening to the news, whether you believe it's fake or not, there have been lots of reports about, Germany, England is going through a state of disarray. You're now saying that some countries, you go to the Far East and we're considered a joke. So what's happening to our world standing, and should we matter? And should it matter? I mean, why does our world standing make it like?
I don't think it should matter in the sense of let's get our own house in order.
Yeah, so I guess that's a question, because in some ways, to me, that's the ego. If a country has an ego, that's our ego saying, I used to be number one, and now I'm not, and therefore I have to go be number one in doing this or that. Whereas maybe we don't, like you said, maybe we have to get our act together first. So, what is, I guess, what is driving? I guess what's the question for world standing? I think it's. I guess what do we need to know about the downsides of chasing our world standing?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. Okay, you tell me when to stop. I'm shuffling these cards. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
Oh. Okay. So I got a couple cards here. First card, Woman of Wands, female. Boy, this is not your kind of rollover mama, whatever that means. I mean, this is a sharp female on the move and on the rise. And I think what we're seeing here with this, with the Trump administration, American politics, is the last stand, the last vestiges, in a way, of the old white guy government. Not that. This is the Woman of Wands. This is women coming into power. And I'm going to take a lot of crap here. This is a wild warrior goddess.
So my question was, what do we need to know about our world standing and our ego, and should it matter? And what I'm hearing is we're going to just go wild.
Well, no, I think that, there's a lot of fingernails here. It's cat fights. But again, so what? I think this next card, might be a little bit more relevant. It's called creativity. And that's us getting more creative with us. Beginning to live a healthier life. And by the way, the equality levels in America have gone way down. The discrimination, the intolerance levels, the health levels, the environmental level, every conceivable index, except for education, on the social progress index has gone down. So this is about us creating us. And who cares if our destroyer is not as strong as somebody else's destroyer somewhere? Let them destroy themselves with their destroyer, kind of thing, is my feeling about it. Let's be creative with us and create us. And one good thing, I think, what Trump is doing is focusing on us. But I'm not sure it's the right exact way to do that here. Because we don't want to be isolated in the world. We want to be a leader in the world. But the leaders in the world are only leaders by example, by how we live, not by posturing with an insane military budget. Which is, and again, and all of that. Wow.
Yeah, so I think you make a really good point where, okay, you can say, who cares about what other people, let's get into a cat fight. We've been all safe and kind of all like, let's all hold hands, kumbaya. And so, Trump goes, with this like claws out and scratching everyone and saying like, no, I matter, don't I matter? That kind of scenario. And I think that the benefits are that potentially that's actually helping us focus on us. But there's also the potential downside is that we are considered still a leader, and what kind of leader are we, and what are we saying the universe should be if we are, or what are we saying the world should be if we're leading and have a certain voice?
Yeah, that is a great
Okay,
question.
so let's ask a question. What's our personal brand? Like if the U.S. has a brand, what does it represent now?
The American brand, is that what you said?
Yeah.
What does it represent? Oh, good question. Tell me when to stop. You're taking responsibility, CJ.
Now.
Okay, now. Okay, got this card. The Seer, the Sage of Wands.
Well, that sounds good.
Fabulous. You put that together with the Star. These are as high a qualities of human being and society that we can possibly get. This is, we have it within us. The potential is within us, but it's probably not going to happen overnight because this is the wisdom card. These are wisdom, personality types, archetypes, and who have been there, done that, and now are sharing with the world that maybe this doesn't work, so let's do that. But to become a sage takes time. And America is still a really young country. We are a really young culture and society compared to Europe and China. We haven't been around very long. We're upstarts. So this is a sage card. These are older people. These are the elders. I think our goal is to move towards elderhood, of really leading the world in terms of the quality of life. But we're there. And I think it's going to take time. Again, these are not a kid kind of card.
So it's interesting because in some ways when I'm looking at all these cards, they talk about an arc of where the future is, even though it's hard to see, frankly, for me. And again, I have my own biases. It's hard for me to see that all these things being embodied in Trump. But I see, so what are his actions? Like, what is his role in making this future happen? I guess that's maybe a question, right? Because those two cards are really positive. So there's this positive thing. Where does Trump fit within this vision?
Well, within not leading to a great reaction here, but actually something truly positive coming out of his efforts.
Right. And that lead to that? I mean, those two cards seem pretty damn good to me. Those are a positive personal brand. That's a positive kind of. So what is it?
One thing, cards can be read so many different ways.
Yeah.
Really. One card, not one definition at all. It really depends on the reader, the interpreter of the cards.
Right.
And
Right. I
how
understand.
they project themselves and their values into every reading.
Hmm.
And so I have to be very careful here because I want to come from a rather objective political scientist
Right.
place,
Right.
but I do have my own personal preferences, and they're very strong.
Yeah.
But I try and separate them out.
Right.
So we are seeing some brilliant cards here, like the star, and so what is really the most positive thing coming out of the Trump administration?
Yes. Yeah. And yeah. Hmm.
All right, tell me when to stop here.
Now.
Now, okay, we're going to go up to here, and it's purity.
Wow. That's surprising.
Well, yeah. Well, the one thing that he's a rooster.
Hmm.
He is a rooster, and one of these days I'm going to have me be my exceptional rooster called Roosta, and I'm head of the Rooster Church. So we are pure and we have morals. Now, I want to be interviewed actually as Roosta about this president who's a rooster,
Yeah.
because one thing about roosters is this is a card called purity. They are no BS. They say what they want to say, and that is the truth. It's pure,
Mm-hmm.
whether like it or not. So I think somehow we've got to find a way to allow a president, because with Obama, forget he never knew what the hell he's really thinking because he's
Right.
reflecting all the time. Um, he's sort of secretive in that sense. How can we get a leader who is absolutely transparent, but in a way that is not creating all these catfights? Like, so Trump has a
Right.
fight with the mayor of London and with the president of Australia and with everybody.
Right.
How can we find leadership that is pure and spontaneous in that way, but is clean, with compassion? I mean, these are high spiritual cards, and I'm going to give him credit for the purity of his authenticity.
Right.
He's authentic, but is this the kind of authenticity that works?
Right.
It's kind of the same. These cards are, it's funny here. There's 4 suits, CJ, in every tarot deck. One suit for the mind, suit for the heart, suit for the body, like economy, suit for health, body, suit for the spirit, the mental, the emotional. These are all spiritual cards.
Wow.
But
Isn't that fascinating?
the suit of wands, 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 and the highest maybe wands card of the higher consciousness card, the star. So this is not hardball kind of progress, or that are things that are made in terms of material conditions that we can read and see. We have not gotten one card that talks about actual material change or advance or progress at all.
Hmm.
It's all about what's our vision, who are we really, why are we here? These are higher question kind of here. And I'm not sure that, I don't think he particularly asks those questions. He's more of the business guy, and it's all about money, which is the total opposite of all these.
Right. It's almost inspiring. It's going back to the very original statement. I mean, his actions are creating this catalyst within ourselves to bring about those things that you have on the 4 cards, even if it's either side, right? Like either you're a Democrat or progressive, and it's helping you get like, okay, I can't fight everything, but I can fight, healthcare, or I can fight, whatever it is. So I think that is one possibility that's happening. And then if you're a coal miner in the Midwest, we're like, wow, I actually am feeling fired up to, like it's like, because I care about, someone's listening to me and I feel heard and understood, like something is being fired up by his actions on both sides.
And I think if that's I mean, coal is on the wrong side of history. It's
I
not going to
agree.
It's not going to happen. and it shouldn't happen. It will not
It
happen.
probably won't happen given the price of natural gas. It's not going to happen anyways, but still his intention is to help these poor people. And you know what? There's a problem, a huge problem with our economy, period, with automation. The coal miners are just the tip of the iceberg.
It's not foreign invasion, it's robotics.
Yes.
And just change, progressive change. But so if the government wants to do something about these poor coal miners, then let's go in there with some kind of re-education, retooling program and make it truly doable for them and get into different renewable sorts of energy that they can do. I mean, it's kind of simple here. I don't know why we're trying to go back to move ahead here.
Well, it's for votes so that he can continue. Okay, so let's see. What haven't we asked? We haven't asked about Russia. Oh, we should do that in the next 4 minutes.
Russia, oh my God.
What do we need to know about Russia and Trump's involvement?
Oh, Russia. Oh, Russia.
Oh. Should we ask that? What's the question?
Oh, yeah, let's ask about it. I mean, you got to realize who you're dealing with here. You're dealing with Putin.
I know. So what do we need to know about Trump and his involvement in Russia?
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So, boy, this is good. You can end with this. The Voyager report. All right. So, tell me, you're responsible.
Okay, I'm responsible for whatever comes up. Ready? No.
Now. Ooh, this card's coming out. Russia coming out. Sorrow. Sorrow. Wow. And then one more card on top, which was harmony. Okay. So sorrow. The sorrow, though, is wishing. I mean, the sorrow card is something has to be let go of here. It's kind of like a death card. It's a releasing, a shedding, so we can move on here. I think we need to realize, to me, it's releasing our naivete. We're incredibly naive in American politics about the intentions of Putin's Russia. This is, I mean, it's a fact, and it's not even my opinion. The guy's an expansionistic president / leader / dictator, whatever you want to call it. But I think, and we want to get along, harmony, we want to play ball with them, harmony, and everything's going to be cool. But it's not cool. It's not cool. I mean, every intelligence agency keeps coming out with more intentions on their side to hack the elections, whatever. So, I mean, we really have to realize that Russia is a threat to the American system, to American democracy. And it's not about anybody's administration. It's about realizing these guys are back into war mode again, but it's cyber war. Cyber war. War has moved on.
But how does this relate to, and we have 1 more minute, how does this relate to, how does this relate to Trump and his guilt or innocence or his involvement?
Okay, let's ask a quick, what about that? Okay, pick a card for me on this.
No, but I thought those were the 2 cards that we did pick that was answering that.
But I think with the sorrow, the sorrow is like, well, obviously he doesn't want anybody to know whatever. We're not sure what that is because we want to let it go.
Right.
We want it to go and have this nice harmony that's here. But it still doesn't tell us too much of what.
Okay, let's show 1 more card as our final card.
Right. Okay, what's it all? Why are they hiding? What are they hiding here?
Right. Okay, what are they hiding?
Right. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
Now?
Yep.
Is that what you said? Okay. The Woman of Worlds, the Pregnant Lady.
Ooh.
Well, this is a great business card. This is a great business card. And I think it's all about business. This is America, Russia. We can play ball and really rule the world because we're into business. And this is an economics card.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Absolutely economics card. This is the first economics card we picked out of, 8 or something like that. The only one.
Wow. Okay, on that note, we're going to wrap it up, but can I ask you, James, can we stay for another 10 minutes to do a couple more cards? And folks who want to listen to those readings, you can go to YouTube and listen to this whole reading. Are you okay with doing that?
Yeah.
We're going to sign off right now. We have James Wanless, who is here doing this wonderful tarot card. I can't wait to see the comments on this. I try to be so neutral this time because I got a lot of negative comments from our last one on Trump. So I tried to be as positive as I could. So tell us what you think. Go to YouTube, post comments. James Wanless, james-wanless.com. Go over and embrace your rooster this year, or get your Sustain Yourself cards, or get his Voyager cards as well. Hey, everybody, we're back. We're doing some additional tarot readings because the first batch that we did were so phenomenal. What do you think about them, James? How would you cast what just happened?
Well, the political condition and situation these days is so hot. It's so heated up. It's so volatile that people have a hard time talking civilly to each other.
I know.
But I must say, it doesn't help to have the leader of our country talk in the way he talks to other people. I mean, we're supposed to be presidential, and if he can say, oh, you're doing a bad job, or you're terrible to the mayor of London, or to the prime minister of Australia, or whatever, then it's given license to everybody to say whatever in any kind of way to other people. And I have a real problem with that one. The language says a lot about how people think. And if you're thinking that way and talking that way, we're never going to get along.
Okay, so let's actually do a card about that. Like, what is the fundamental mindset of Trump? I think we know. I think I know, but frankly, I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, tell me when to stop, CJ. You're the pundit here.
You're the pundit. Okay, now, now.
Now, the now card. Compassion.
What?
But it's so interesting, CJ, that the cards we've been picking here for politics and for Trump's administration are not what we would expect to see, like compassion or Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy, right. All of that. I mean, we're talking about, all right, so at some level, the president, whether you agree with him or not, has some level of compassion for a certain kind of people in certain kinds of situations. But this is not necessarily compassion for the entire society that we live in. I mean, this president is only presidenting to his political base, which is frankly a minority of America.
Okay, let's figure out let's ask if that's true. So who does he have compassion for?
Well,
Who do you ask?
For people who don't have enough money.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's ask. Who is he really representing?
Okay.
How about that? Who is he really representing?
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Okay. Trust. Wow, another Wands card. Trust. Well, he's speaking to the people who voted for him. This is a very tight-knit team. Like I'm hugging you because you hugged me because you voted for me. Going beyond that. We are brothers. This is clan politics. You're my brother. We're in this together. It's person to person. It has nothing to do with the greater good of the greater society. It's about you. You voted for me and I'm voting for you. I'm helping you out.
Like the mafia, like you were saying before.
Right. It's that personal fidelity. So when he was asking the FBI director to be loyal to him, I guarantee that's straight out of mafia talk.
I believe that. You've read the transcripts, the 3,000 pages of mafia talk.
Right. Well, the governor of New Jersey, this guy Chris Christie, who's not particularly clean himself, we all know that.
Yeah, Mr. Bridge, dude.
This is the New York City way of doing politics. This is New York conversation. Well, yeah, I believe that completely. I mean, I've worked in the mayor's house, in New York City. I've worked in the assembly in New York State. I've been a pollster in New York City, New Jersey. I've studied New Jersey mafia. I know how these things go, and it's all personal. It's people face to face with a handshake. Well, that's
Mm.
fine at a certain level, but we're talking about a humongous 350 million polity of diverse people all over the place, and it's not going to be a handshake. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to have
Mm.
a bigger vision,
Mm.
style of
Mm.
politics.
Okay, let's talk about the people that he is trying to engender trust with the economy. And what do we need to know about what's happening with the
Right.
economy?
That's a good, because that was his number one
Yeah,
political campaign.
promise.
The problem with our whole system is the political system, the way we elect people. I mean, it's insane, and the role money plays in all of this. I mean, if we ever have a, this is the problem in America. If I was going to, as a political scientist, say what's the problem, it's this way we elect people
Mm-hmm.
and to the presidency. I mean, anybody can say anything, as a candidate, and mean nothing. And it's who has the most money anyway, and who's going to appeal to the electoral college, which is like 200 years old. It
Mm-hmm.
ain't America anymore, by the way. But, okay, in any event. So, what good is going to come out of this president's for the people who, you know, voted for him?
Yeah,
So,
or
tell me
yeah,
about
or maybe like, should we ask generally about what do we need to know about the economy
that. Well,
with the Trump economy with the Trump administration, or what are the results that we could expect for the Trump
yeah,
administration and
yeah,
economy? Okay, how
that's
about that? Okay, the economy and what we can expect with the Trump administration. Um, should we do like economy generally, or should we do like the people that supported him?
let's do economy in general.
Okay, how about economy in general?
Right. And then we can go
What do
down
we
to,
need to know about the Trump administration and economy in general? What can you expect? Now,
that's an interesting question. Um, the sun.
hmm,
The sun is all about power and money. I mean, it's one of the few cards in Voyager that's actually got money in there.
hmm, hmm,
And the sun is all powerful. It's gold. We represent the gold standard here. Um, so, in terms of business in general, that's good.
mm-hmm,
That's good. I mean, it's kind of like, but it is a great economics card. And the fact that you now take away taxes for corporates and rich people, this and that, that's going to add to them. There's no doubt about it. So there are real benefits to
right,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our stock advisor said, you know what, I would actually invest more in U.S. stocks because they're going to take a lift. That's their prediction. So that's what that Sun card means to me. How about the economy for the specific people he that voted for him?
Okay. All right. Tell me when to stop.
Now,
Now, time and space. Well, we'll see, CJ. Well,
okay.
time and space. It's easy to say stuff, but boy, uh, to really effect, I mean, real change in some of these economies they're dead economies in a sense. You can't just recall them and have them working again. So I'm not sure. The jury is really out, I think, in terms of what his economics promises are going to do for those people. Um, but back to what you were saying. You were saying the pundits were saying what? Invest in America or something now?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The financial, it's like this is a good time for the stock market. The stock markets are going to rally because Trump is pro business. So I can understand from like if you are in the upper echelons investing in stocks and things like that may be a positive economy. If you're running
Absolutely.
a business, it may be pro business. But then for the people, I'm wondering whether that card, the one that for his supporters, I'm wondering if the time and space has to do with technology. Does it have anything to do with that?
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely. But you know what's interesting again about from this social progress index? America, with all our internet and all of our apples and everybody,
Right.
Google, everybody, America is 27th in the world for access to communications like the internet.
Wow.
27th.
Who's number one? I just don't even understand.
I don't know, but working in Asia, I can tell you everybody's got a phone and is on a phone, a smartphone, stuff like that. And I'm sure Europeans are and all that. We were very late in the game with smartphones. Everybody walking around with these little collapsible, these little phones. Americans didn't have that. You're not that progressive when it comes to technology, but you're right about time, space. Technology makes a big, big difference. But, 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 you know.
Okay. All right. Let's actually let's ask a specific question about the economy and old economies like coal industry and manufacturing. What should they expect under the Trump administration?
Okay. All right. Tell me when to stop for those kind of industries. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
Okay. Anger.
Sorry.
I don't, I just don't see it, frankly. I wish, I'd love, have all the coal miners of West Virginia get it back to get whatever, you know what I mean? But I don't see it happening. Anger is not a very positive card there. But I think it's back to what we're saying in general, because he's a businessman and wants to look at government as a business from a business model. The Sun card would represent that, an overall business climate. That's good. However, back to that social progress index, the inequalities in America are becoming much, much greater.
Okay,
We,
so what do we need to know about the inequalities that are going to be created as a result of the economy?
well, ultimately, the economy craps out when you're not taking full advantage of all the man and woman power we have in this country. Let's face it, here. But let's ask the cards the question. What
Okay.
was the question?
Well, the question is, okay, so there's this large unemployment that is going to be widespread soon with automation. What is
Right.
that? What is it that we need to? What do we need to do in order to change that? You talked about training, which I think is absolutely right. It's a change in mindset and just training. But what are the social policy? What are the policies that we need to put in place to address this very real and likely outcome in technology? Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, that. Okay,
Tell me when to stop. Well, those are very intelligent questions, CJ.
thank you. Okay, now.
Now, the now card, the Hierophant, and the teacher. Boy, this is the card number five. In every tarot deck, all the number fives are lessons and challenges and tests kind of cards, and we have to learn some hard lessons that come out of setbacks and things that do not work. That And I think, yeah, while we help out the rich to get richer, ultimately from a synergistic, renewable point of view, which is kind of the reason the sun keeps happening is the sun is synergistic. It uses all parts of itself to set up another fire, to set up another fire, and that's renews, renews, renews. But if we are only going to have a certain level of people, that is not renewable. And I think that's the lesson that we have to really learn is, come on, we are way high in the poverty level. The number of people who don't even eat, 40 million apparently are undernourished food in America. So, and until we get it together with that great mass of population, we are not going to be truly synergistic and renewable and sustainable. And I think that's the lesson we have to learn. The rich getting richer is not the future at all. It's a,
Has to do with just the haves and the have-nots and just this huge divide.
and it's hard to change that because only the rich can get into office and
Right.
only the rich can rule. So we're in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, we are.
I'd like to know what has to
Yeah,
happen
what has to be done?
because I'm pessimistically
I
optimistic.
know. Yeah. Okay, what
No,
has to be done
yeah,
to
okay,
change
so
the haves and the have-nots?
okay, tell me when to stop here
Now.
because the have-nots are getting bigger,
Yeah.
you know, and I think the seeker card. Gosh, what does that say? Gosh, I just think, this is new leadership. This is new leadership. This is not the OWGs, the old white guys, anymore. These might even be millennials or people who are looking for a new and different way to overthrow the old way. Now, is this through some kind of insane revolution? In the past, it was through some war or something like that, which in the tarot is the Tower card. But can these kinds of revolutions, evolutions, be made peacefully? Because that's what we have to find a new kind of leadership here that sees things. But how does that?
You know what actually generated for me when you said that is that I think that um, the possibility of war feels just so much higher than it did before. You know, the destruction of war and the fear and all the things that have happened, it seems like war is just so much more imminent than it used to be. What do we need to know about our about war and with the Trump
It has
administration?
to go away. But as long as there is war, human beings are at peril.
Yeah.
We are obsolete if war is not obsolete. Let's face it, we have too much technological power. We can nuke the world.
Hmm.
I mean, what? Like, duh. Anyway, so what has to happen
Or what has
here?
to happen, or what do we need to know about the war with the Trump administration
Oh, okay. Tell me when to stop on that one.
now?
Because there's a lot of people who are freaked out. I mean, I think therapy, psychotherapy has gone way up.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
I'm actually doing a series of videos on Voyager as a mindfulness healing therapy tool for using the principles of the cards in order to see
Mm.
how to be sane in a crazy world.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay, war, hanged man, Christ on the cross, crucifixion. Oh, that's fun. And then we move on to the hermit. And the hermit is like, I'll mind my business, you mind your business. This is not, the hermit card is like, let me take care of my house and take care of me and become self sufficient and independent and not depend so much on all, who cares whether some guy has another plane or whatever
Right.
kind of thing. But the hangman is like, we're going to go deeper and deeper into this until, I mean, these are kind of, the hermit can be very, very healthy because it is
Okay.
a,
Okay. The hangman doesn't sound good for war.
no, it does not because we're still in the, CJ, we're still in the old mindset. And more we're thinking about this issue, particularly with the child, the seeker coming up as the way out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a generational change.
Mm-hmm.
I think my generation, all these old white guy boomers, got to go. We
Mm-hmm.
got to we got to get the heck out of here
Mm-hmm.
because old world, we have an old world view of America and the greatness and the da 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 da. That does not serve anymore.
Yeah.
So I just think hopefully we make it through until we have a new generation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, can we do some cards on the environment because that was just so positive. It was mixed. It was mixed. Okay, let's do one for the environment and see what happens.
What's the question? What
Okay, what
is
do we need to know about the environment under a Trump administration?
okay? But good question. Good. Keep it simple. What about? I love that question. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
Okay, I'll go down here. Got down there. Got two cards. Okay. Creativity, which is deal with it.
Deal
Deal with
with
it.
it? How does creativity deal with it?
Use it as a creative thrust.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
don't treat it as, oh, it's going to kill us. Treat it as an opportunity and a necessity for us to be a lot more creative
Mm.
and what we do about renewables and all the rest regarding energy. The other card is the Emperor. This is old world. This is the old white guy politics card
Mm-hmm.
here. And the only reason I kind of kept this Emperor card in Voyager to be kind of a Alexander the Great and King Philip, all these old kind of old leadership styles, is that we still have that here.
Right, absolutely.
Have that here, and it's all about business. According, it's not about environment. Come on, we are at war with nature. We are going to control nature. This is human man pride and hubris which come before the fall. We learned that, with all Greek mythology, high school, and all that kind of thing. That's what the emperor is all about. We, we don't, but the problem with, of course, the environment, when it really starts going wrong, you just can't stop it.
Yeah, that the thing to me that of all the different things that worry me, it's war, and then it's like, you know, the time is now to work on the environment. If you don't work now, and you don't sign the Paris Treaty, peace, if you don't sign those kinds of deals and make commitments and try to create a better future, then I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, so what is my greatest fear?
Well, that is a tremendous fear because once the water is through the dike, it's through. Mar-Lago goes underwater. Manhattan goes
Right.
underwater. But and there's some great books, Collapse of Civilizations and stuff, and a lot of the great civilizations in the past have collapsed because of
Of environmental.
yes,
Yeah.
so clear.
Okay. So what do we need to know? So will the crates? So I think that the cards that you pulled were kind of mixed, right? Will the crate? Will in fact the Trump administration spur more creativity, and will it come fast enough? So
Okay.
I guess I don't know. What's the question?
You
Oh,
know,
okay.
I usually am of the belief that for things to change, a lot of times you have to have traumatic events happen.
Okay.
Um, but with environment, you can't afford to have that
I
happen.
know. So
So anyway, what was the question?
well, I think that your point, the cards revealed, is about creativity, right, and renewables and those kinds of things, and that the thing that's going a kind of counter to that is the old guard and like wanting to, take these gigantic industries and stay relevant in that. What I think it's just such a complicated issue. I don't even know how we're going to resolve this issue without huge amount of damage.
Well, okay,
So
so what has to happen
yeah, what has to happen? Good. What has
for
to
us to
happen?
get it together and
And
get it
for these
together?
creative solutions to prevent the imminent demise of the
Okay,
of our environment.
let's be positive here, CJ. Come on now.
Okay. What do we need to? Okay. Yeah. What do we need to know?
Right,
What can be done?
right. What has to be done?
What has to be done? Okay. Now.
Okay, I'll just go to the top card here. Integrity.
Hmm.
Wow. Boy, this is, uh, it's funny. I mean, having made these cards and having lived with these cards for 35 years, I mean, I have set meanings and books I've written about them and all that. But when you have a certain kind of question in a certain time, in a context and all that, all of a sudden I get a different take on it that maybe I didn't have in my books.
Hmm.
Like integrity, get this spiritual warrior here, a Native American. It's like that pipeline kind of thing up in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why I'm so sorry. I should know that, but I think this is a card of resistance,
Hmm.
fierce resistance by the people that we are violating the light of the church. I mean, it can be peaceful, but it is rock hard, the backbone of the people to stand up for the truth here. I mean, I think the most amazing thing was that Women's March. The Women's
Mm-hmm.
March, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Standing up to Native Americans for these pipeline things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
amazing. And this is no BS. This is the spiritual warrior card. This is the warrior. I mean, this is not somebody who's going to roll over because they're going to make a few more bucks
Right.
at all. I mean, this is truth and justice, kind of thing. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. Have to
Right.
happen.
Well, I guess it makes sense because if you think about like the trees can't protest. I mean, the only way that nature can protest is just destroying things to go like, see, I'm not happy. So if the people don't, I mean, but unfortunately, even when that's happening, people dismiss that as like, oh, it's just an anomaly or so.
Well, But there's going to be a committed group of people who are going to say, no, I'm sorry. We are going to stand up. And, in the 60s, when I grew up, I mean, there was all these marches down to the South for, human rights and all of that, Martin Luther King and all that greatness that happened. Why don't we have that now for defense of the environment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's doable. It's possible.
Yeah.
That's tremendous pressure on the system.
It's interesting. Okay, I'm thinking that's a really, I like that. I mean, of all the different things that if I were to stand up for, it'd be consciousness, but if it was like a practical, concrete thing, it'd be the environment. So I'll have to contemplate, like, what can I do? What can we do?
Well, since the political system is so stuck, you got to go outside the system
Yeah.
and do this kind of the people.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I think a lot of the stuff, the interesting stuff, the innovative stuff, the creativity is happening on the city and state level. And so maybe it's like basically rallying, your local government, which is already doing stuff, but like stand up. If you're going to stand up, that's the place to stand up and
Well,
actually be
California,
listened to.
the state of California is going its own way with the environment.
Yeah, same Washington.
It already has money to resist the feds, the
Right.
U.S.
Right.
And it's saying, no, we resist, no. And so California is directly negotiating with China.
Right.
It's not through that, through
Right.
the federal, that's what people have to stand up
Right.
to do. Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
And
Okay.
I love my Rooster deck, the online deck, is it's standing up for the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Here, doodle do it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
Mm-hmm.
wait, woo.
Okay, so amidst all of this stuff, social issues seem to be completely like on the road. Like, there was so much momentum during the Obama administration, and now it just feels like it's no, human rights. What are those? So what do we need to know about social issues?
Social issues. Okay. Tell me when to stop about that.
Now,
There, card is that time space again.
wow.
God, time space is the card of envisioning the future and being a visionary. I don't know specifically if we're in the right time in the right place
To do that,
do that exactly.
yeah, it's like it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like where no one knows if they're going to be fed, like food, shelter, water, like trying to aspire to higher, maybe
Mhm.
that's not the right time and space to do it, which is painful, but
Well, I mean, you're looking, let's say LGBT rights, or gender bathrooms, all of these kinds of things, and all the racial stuff that still goes on. America is what in the world in terms of racial discrimination? We're 39th in the world. That's ridiculous. That's pathetic here. But yeah, that's all happening. But I think the environmental thing might be a more tangible rallying cry.
I see that. And also like it's there's just it's there's just too much interaction. Like there's just, there's places like North Carolina. There are places like that where it's like it's just going to take a long time. Even when they were put under the spotlight, they made some conciliatory things that were like, they're not that's not going to change for a while.
Right.
God bless North Carolina. That's where my son's going to go to college soon, but still. Still, they're a little bit backwards. Okay.
Fascinating article about the Dutch. And with warmer climbing, there's going to be a lot more water coming through those dikes. And they are very smart. They are not just building walls. Walls is just the most stupidest way of doing anything.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I mean, dikes, obviously, but they are so ingenious. And back to that creativity card, they are so creative. What they're going to do with this water that's going to come over the dikes, through the dikes now.
What are they going to do?
Well, they have got so many different kinds of systems and stuff I've never even thought about. It's like they're going to work with the water.
That's interesting.
The water, we're working with the water.
Wow, Wow, that's fascinating. It's
I,
very martial arts.
and that's what we need, that kind of creativity.
Yeah, I love it.
That's European, though. That's a European thing, which is about the quality of life, not the power of our standing in the world.
Yeah. Okay, this was the best. This is very interesting. I thought this reading was fantastic. We've covered almost every single piece, haven't we?
I think we've discovered. Let's see, what haven't we looked at? No, I think we're
Well, I
good.
think we've covered everything. We covered foreign policy and our U.S. brand,
Yeah,
Russia, the economy, the environment.
yeah. And the hang. I mean, I think it was very realistic. I mean, the hangman really described that we're hung up
Yeah,
in the kind of political gridlock that we are. And sometimes the only way is to have some kind of a mini disaster. You'd think Fukuoka in Japan would wake us up,
mm-hmm.
you know? But I'm not sure it really has yet. But I think it's going to take something like that and an outrage, and it's going to be the people. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the people, and that's real power,
Mm.
you know, there. And because the political system is not working, I don't care what party you belong to, but it doesn't make any difference. It's not working.
It wasn't working. It's still not working, but we know where it's broken,
Yeah.
I think.
But I working in China a lot. I mean, if I was living in China, I'd say, well, yeah, we get things done, like you were saying. But is this what I want to get done? What's it going to do to me? Well, it's what am I going to go fight the Communist Party and
Right,
this government? You're not going to fight that.
right,
You're not. So
right,
it's a pick your poison.
right.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is really great.